ghosts, spirits, poltergeists, demons. Do they exist? Is there life after life? Are there unseen entities around us? Can they communicate? Do you believe? What happens in the shadows doesn't always stay in the shadows. Live from Northwest Georgia, covering the region and beyond, this is Georgia Paranormal Radio. And now, here is your host, Mike Watkins.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Georgia Paranormal Radio. This is your host, Mike Watkins, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this evening for episode number 26. Yeah, we're climbing on up there, folks, making our mark, and hey, you're sticking with us, so I appreciate that. Got a lot of good feedback from you folks this week about last week's EVP episode, and just want to let you know we appreciate you staying in touch with us and letting us know what you think about what we're doing. We really enjoy getting that feedback, and hopefully this show will generate some feedback. We have on our show this week Psychic Medium Barb Powell, and she's from up in Saskatchewan, Canada, and I've got her via the Skype interface. We're going to give it a try one more time here, and so let me just go ahead and introduce Miss Barb Powell to you. Barb, you there?
I am, yes, thank you.
Well, welcome to Georgia Paranormal Radio, Barb. I know it's Georgia and Canada are a long way apart, and I appreciate you being on here, and appreciate you being willing to talk about and share your gift with myself and the listeners.
Oh, for sure. Well, thank you for having me on.
And I've been looking over your website here, which is sacred-connections.us, and you have just a gangbusters amount of information on there. Why don't you just start out and tell us a little bit about you and the gifts that you do have?
Sure. Oh, goodness. Where do I begin? Well, yeah, I mean, the website does have a lot of information on there. I like to have as much information as possible. That way, I can get straight to a person's reading and go from there. But I went professional as a medium a few years back, actually. And by professional, I mean, doing this as a business, having a business license, advertising, accepting money for it. And it's done well for me so far. And there's certain abilities that I particularly have that I incorporated into a reading. For one, of course, being medium is able to, communicate with the afterlife. So that would be, from spirit guides to our loved ones who have passed over. And for that, I mean, I use different abilities such as, I can see, I can feel, and that's with, working with energy levels. I can see auras, and I do past lives as well. I also communicate with people's pets, living and past, and yeah, I don't know. There's quite a bit of skills that I use in order to try and connect with somebody and do a reading for them.
And you were born with these abilities and have had them all of your life?
Well, pretty much, yeah. I mean, as far back as I can particularly remember, at the age of, I would say 4 or 5 years old. I didn't quite understand everything back then, but I mean, being an adult and thinking back on it, I realized what it was that I was particularly doing. So yeah, I mean, it was a little bit difficult as a child, like I said, because I didn't have a lot of access to books or even TV. Not that there was a lot of television shows back there to explain all this, but yeah, when I became an adult, it was much easier to understand it and manage it.
Excellent. You now I'm just a little old ghost hunter here. I'm probably as psychic as your doorknob, so I'm really not sensitive at all. Can you tell me about the spirits that are around you, and why do you think there are so many spirits around us? Is it that they choose to be here, or they just haven't moved on? What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of different theories and that sort of thing that's particularly out there. But I believe that, the spirit world, the people who have passed on, enjoys to be around us on occasion. I do believe, of course, in a heaven. I believe in God. That's my own particular beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I was particularly told from my own spirit guide is that, there is such thing as a heaven that has different, I guess, what we would call realms over there. Of course, we don't, once we pass on, we don't stop learning or growing from our experiences and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But I do believe, they're not around us 100% of the time. They come and they check in and they go back. So that's what I believe that's happening.
Amazing. Now, have you ever, I don't know about would you ever ghost hunt? I mean, I don't guess you really have to hunt for them because you can sense them already.
Well, in my province, Saskatchewan here, I do belong to an organization, a paranormal organization that do investigations and different hauntings as well. And I'm their only medium that they use for that, so I incorporate my skills in helping the investigators do their work as well. So I do go out with them on a few occasions, and usually our busiest month, believe it or not, is coming up fairly soon in June. That's when a lot of the animal mutilations and that sort of thing happen. So we're going to be going out to investigate that to see what's going on and see if it's of a paranormal nature, of course, and go from there.
Wow, animal mutilations.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a big thing down here.
Oh, mercy. That's let's hope that doesn't migrate to Georgia. Goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
And you talk about you have your own spirit guide. When did you develop a relationship with your spirit guide? Did it come at an early age?
Well, that was fairly early on. I believe everybody has a master spirit guide, that spirit guide that has been with us throughout every reincarnation. Of course, that's another one of my beliefs. I do believe in reincarnation. And I do believe in life contracts as well. Before we do reincarnate into this world, to Earth. Excuse me. I must apologize. I have a bad cold, so I'm a little raspy here.
Understandable.
Yeah, for sure. But I do believe in life contracts, like I said, that you sit down with your master guide and decide what it is that you're wanting to learn and experiences in this particular lifetime. Write out that contract and reincarnate to the earth and go from there. So I do believe that everybody has a particular master guide. Some people have more than one secondary guide, of course, helping us on this journey. And for me, I had communication with my guide from as far back as I can remember, probably, from the age of 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's that's incredible. Now, I always ask a question of people who are in this field and also who paranormal investigate.
Sure.
What is the most intimidating or frightening moment that you've ever had dealing with the spirit world?
Oh, goodness. I guess I'm not sure about frightening or what have you. I think I remember being frightened when I was a little bit younger. Now that I'm much older and have that experience behind me of everything that I've done and seen, I'm not exactly, afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just get a little bit nervous, I suppose would be a better word for it, on investigations and that sort of thing. If I feel something of a paranormal nature that isn't exactly friendly, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, those would be the more times that I'd get particularly nervous about.
Is that a common thing? I mean, we often call them McNasties, the bad spirits. Do you encounter a lot of those, or is it few and far between?
Well, you know what? It's actually few and far between. I find that the most hauntings that I've encountered actually are just people who haven't actually crossed over. There's a few cases that I've gone on to investigate that they believe that was, I guess they're saying, demonic. I don't particularly believe in demonic cases. I found that they're more so just lower energy levels, spirit energy that I guess you would call them shadow people, perhaps, and they're mainly pranksters, basically. I haven't really come across any spirit that was really, really nasty, wanting to hurt people or anything else like that. So I don't really believe in that. Actually, I haven't come across anything. So, there's always the first time, I suppose, but I haven't really come across.
Interesting. Hey, I also noticed, I think I read here on your website too, and you have so much information on here. If you listeners out there want a good read, go to her website at sacred-connections.us, because she has so much information about herself and her abilities and her code of ethics, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But I believe you also have helped out law enforcement, have you not?
Yeah, actually, I have. I don't talk a lot about it, actually, about certain cases and about the different detectives or authorities that I have particularly worked with, due to confidential things, of course. But yeah, I have helped a few of them, actually, mainly on missing person cases, some cold case investigations as well. So it's interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's when I first started doing this type of work, I always wondered, how authorities would take, I guess, to this particular ability. And I haven't had any negative feedback whatsoever. And asking a detective, what he thought about this and about asking me for help. And he just basically told me, I use it as just another investigative tool, which was great. So I thought that was really great.
That's wonderful. We're right now we have a case going on here in North Georgia where I live. I wouldn't say she's a friend of mine. She's a colleague in law enforcement, and she's been on CNN. She's been missing now about 2 weeks, and so I think some psychics are actually stepping up here locally to try and help find her, because they've done ground searches and all that good stuff, and just to no avail. So I hope that they're successful, and I hope that they're as receptive here, our local law enforcement are, to receiving that help from the psychic community.
Well, yeah, and I think that's great that they're stepping up to do that. For myself, I've had people ask me in interviews and that sort of thing, like, how do you go about doing this? Do you see something in a newspaper or on TV and then offer your services or what have you? I'm not particularly like that. That's not how I particularly work. Not that there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not my style.
Mm-hmm.
I only get involved in something if, family requests or if law enforcement requests as well. And, there was a particular case that I worked on actually in North Carolina that I had, that family had requested my help in a missing person case. And the next thing I knew, a detective from down in that area had called me. So I was a little bit nervous about that, actually, because I wasn't quite sure how this particular detective would relate to myself, actually, being, down around the Bible Belt area
Mm-hmm.
of the United States. And he was actually really great about it. And he requested my help on that as well. So, they seemed fairly receptive of that. So hopefully in that particular case they will be.
And that's I'm glad that they are, and I'm glad that you're the type of person that will volunteer your services to help these families out. That's a very noble thing to do. And
oh, for sure. Thank you.
And that's just good. I'm kind of preoccupied now thinking about her missing person case, and I know it's really hurt her family. And I just I could imagine how grateful a family would be for the help of just some closure. They may not come back alive, but just that closure that folks need.
Oh, that's right.
So,
yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
well,
that's very good.
Yeah, I like doing that particular type of work. It's not always pleasant, of course. It's something that I particularly don't charge for as well. Something that I do pro bono, and something that I try to give back. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, I had mentioned before your code of ethics, and I think you're the only psychic medium that I've ever seen who actually puts a code of ethics on their website. I'm not saying anything bad about the psychic community, but you just lay it out here in black and white, saying, all persons are going to be treated equally. You're not going to be fraudulent. You're going to strive for quality. I guess, that's a good sign of a good character, but tell us all about your ethics, and are there some diminished ethics in that metaphysical community?
Well, I guess with every particular profession, I suppose there are people out there who, aren't so ethical, I guess I could say. And, I'm the type of person, like I said, I like detail, as you could tell from my... But, I like to lay everything out for everybody to know what exactly that they're actually getting into. But, yeah, there has been some people, of course, as we all know, in the news and on TV of paranormal areas, I suppose, that aren't so ethical, and they try to take advantage of people, especially grieving people. That, of course, doesn't set well with me, and I just strive to be the best that I possibly can be, and I think it's important to have an ethical page up there, just so people know what I believe in, what I try and stand for, and as well, if someone becomes a client of mine, I also explain certain things on there that, that they're getting into. And I always tell people, within the first 10 minutes of the reading that you're having with me, you will know whether it's a go or not, whether it's going to be a good reading or not. And I think with any person, with any medium or psychic who is out there, within the first few minutes, you will know whether that person's legit or not by the things that they're actually saying.
Absolutely. And there's a running joke between my frequent guest co-host, David Westbrooks. He couldn't be here with me tonight, but we have a frequent running joke about a psychic, having a psychic on the show, and you're actually the first psychic that we've had on.
Oh.
And actually the first psychic that I've ever really spoken to, because I've always, I used to be a minister, and you get into that Bible Belt mentality about narrowing your vision, and
Right.
And so I have to break myself from that. But we always said that we could never have a psychic on, because the first thing they would do is scream and run away from us. I don't want to be around you. You're going to die some horrible accident. And I just love that one of your ethics on here, number 6, is that you will never predict death for anyone, as free will can change things. So,
Well, for sure. To a certain extent, of course, but with how I do my readings as well, if I try to keep them as positive as I possibly can. That's not always, possible with certain things, of course. But I do believe with any particular reading that I'm doing for somebody, it's all a matter of how you word things, I guess. I don't predict death for anybody. What would be the sense of that? I always believe that if it's going to hinder or harm somebody, the information that I'm going to give, then why bother giving it? If it's going to help them in some way, then sure, yeah. It's just the way that I particularly work, and I don't see how someone can know that they're, going to die or death, how that's particularly going to help them, because I do believe that everybody should live their life to the best of their ability, no matter what. So, yeah.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, with that, we're going to slip in here to a word from our sponsors, and it'll give me a chance to talk to Barb off the air for just a moment while you listen to the Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team. Yeah, that's right. They're bringing you this program one more time, and they want to remind you that, hey, if you need a paranormal investigation and you happen to be within the Northwest Georgia region, or you're down in Cancun or Aruba and want to pay for our airfare down, why, just let us know, and we'll be happy to help you. So sit back, listen to our sponsors, and we'll be right back after this message. Hey folks, Mike Watkins here. Many of you know me as the host of Georgia Paranormal Radio, but I'm also the founder and general manager of the Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team, which is an anchoring sponsor of this program. The Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team was founded back in 2004 as a scientifically based research and documentation team. This investigative group has over 17 years of combined experience in dealing with the paranormal, and the unique perspectives and specialties that each member investigator contributes really gives you the full package. You can trust the Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team to thoroughly, yet discreetly and confidentially, investigate and document any paranormal phenomenon that you may be experiencing. The Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team serves a large area of North Georgia, North Alabama, and even Southeast Tennessee. As always, their time and services are 100% free of charge. All they ask for is an invitation from you to let them investigate those cold spots, bumps in the night, or anything else paranormal. And contacting them couldn't be any easier either. Just go to www.nwgapit.com and check them out. The Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team, proudly bringing you Georgia Paranormal Radio and proudly investigating what you fear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Georgia Paranormal Radio. I am with guest Barb Powell here. She's a psychic medium from up in Canada, and I have to admit, this is my first time really talking to a psychic, and seems like a very nice lady. She's love her accent. I had to tell her during the break, I love that Canadian accent. And but anyway, you need to check her out at sacred-connections.us. And now I'm going to sit back and let her do her thing here. I've never had a reading or an attempted reading before, so I'm going to kind of put her on the spot here and turn this over to her, and hey, we'll see what happens. And I will note for the audience also that I've already told her that she can have free reign and say whatever she feels or thinks or senses. And if it's something that's far too personal for me to put out on the radio, then hey, that's what they make this editing software for, right? So anyway, Barb, I'll turn it over to you, and I'll do whatever you need me to do.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, well, there's a few things that I normally say to somebody, before I particularly do a reading. And I always tell people, the information that I'm going to give you, accept what you're wanting to accept and just throw the rest behind, I suppose, but always keep in the back of your mind the things that I particularly have said. But I won't go into great detail, of course, because, this is a radio show and I tend to ramble in my readings, but I'll try my best here. Okay?
Okay.
So I always like to look at someone's particular aura, okay? And I can do that over radio, over chat room, or what have you, because, aura is just basically energy, okay?
Okay.
And the way I particularly see and feel aura when I'm on a telephone is normally by sensing the energy, okay? And by that I can see in my mind's eye the colors that particularly surround you. Now, what I'm particularly being told about you, Mike, is for personality-wise and profiling-wise, is that I don't know, some people that are particularly around you may be a little bit surprised to know, I suppose, that you do tend to be a little bit shy, but I think that tends to mainly stem from the different situations that you are particularly in. Okay. Perhaps some, around some particular new people, especially that of the opposite sex, okay, may be a little bit particularly shy. But do you have a grandfather that's had passed over?
I have, well, actually, I've got a grandfather and a step-grandfather, yes. Okay.
Let's just take a look here. Well, I'm not sure which one it particularly is yet. Okay, I'm getting a feeling or a sense that a grandfather actually is trying to come through anyway that has passed over, okay? This particular grandfather, though, says he knows fairly well, but he says that you tend to be quite stubborn, okay, and quite set in your ways sometimes. It's kind of interesting, actually, because when I'm doing your particular profile, like I said, I'm looking at the aura, which tells me a few things about someone's personality. It's almost like there's a couple different people of you, okay? And like I said, I think that kind of stems depending on what situation that you're actually in, because it's kind of strange to me, because like I said, sometimes in some situations, whether this is perhaps a new situation for you, you tend to be a little bit shy, okay? Or into yourself or what have you, and just basically speak when spoken to, or when you actually have something to say, but you tend to get a little bit nervous in that. But there's on certain occasions where you can be quite forceful, and are really extroverted, which is kind of strange to me, because I feel those different sides of you. So I find that actually quite interesting. Okay, let me take a look here. Mm. The other thing is, too, with your particular aura, the other thing that I tend to look at on somebody is down in the midsection area. It's kind of, I've named it a life shelf. Okay, it's from the bottom of the chin to about the abdomen area, and it kind of goes in a straight line, okay, down the midsection. It's where the necessarily, I guess, some of the chakras kind of stem in that area, and that's where I've come to know and experience that is where people tend to place, all their worries, their emotions, their sadness, depression, what have you, in that particular area. And dependent, I guess, on how badly they hold things in, is how dark the color is for me. For yourself, what I'm particularly seeing is different scenes, I guess, from your particular past or things that you have been through, I suppose. And not that it's overly dark for me, because I'm not, concerned about that, because it seems that there's a lot of things that you're able to brush off your shoulders, but you tend to hold on to some things that are particularly painful to you, okay? And you kind of hold on to that. I don't know, it kind of stems from, I think, some past things. I don't know whether that comes from your particular childhood or adolescence or where that comes from. In an actual reading, if I had a full hour, I could certainly kind of dwell in there and dig around, but I won't to make things short, actually. Okay. Okay. The other thing is with your aura. Okay. Around there's like a green haze. Okay, kind of around for whatever reason around your particular legs, kind of stemming from your hands and up your arms. Normally, to me, that usually means someone who is either in some type of health career. So it's kind of interesting that you're saying earlier that you've been in law enforcement, because normally I see that with somebody with a health type career. Okay.
I can validate this for the listeners. I am a certified EMT and used to be a fireman and an EMT.
Okay. Okay, well, that makes a little bit of sense to me, I guess. Let me take a look here. Do you tend to have some problems, too, with your back or your lower back?
Yeah.
It's okay to know, but...
Actually, I do, yeah.
Okay. Okay. The other thing, I know that I'm as well being told, okay, if it hasn't started now, it certainly will come future-wise, okay, which is some problems that are going to be starting to stem around the knee area or the leg area, but mainly in the knees, okay, which I'm not quite sure if you kind of suffer from that now, though, because it seems more or less like an arthritic type pain, okay. So for me, anyway, I'm kind of looking more so towards future-wise with that. Okay?
Yeah, I do have one knee right now that's really bad, so.
Okay. Okay, I'm also being told from your particular spirit guide, and actually the grandfather as well. The grandfather seems to be a fairly, how should I put it? Okay, for whatever reason, anyway, he's particularly saying that for yourself, okay, it's too bad we couldn't stick with this particular person and try to figure out which particular grandfather he is, okay? But he stems from, okay, he does say that he believes in spirituality, but people would be surprised that he's actually coming through to a medium, okay? So family, anyway, would be particularly surprised, okay? So he seems to be, like, in particular life, to be a little bit of a stuffy person, but he also has some humor to him as well, okay? But anyway, he's telling me, though, excuse me, that your diet, okay, needs to be looked at a little bit, because he says that you're tending to take in a little bit too much of what he would call junk food, and this tends to be like, I don't know whether you tend to perhaps eat a lot at, like takeout things or greasy foods or what have you, okay, because he's talking about cholesterol levels, right? So I don't know when the last time you had that particular check, but you may want to look into that, okay?
Okay.
The other thing as well, do you know of somebody, whether this is a friend, an acquaintance? Well, no, I don't think it would be an acquaintance, but it seems more or less a friend, I suppose. I don't think it's a family member as of yet, but someone who has passed on in an accident. And for me, I'm looking more towards like a car accident. Does that seem to play any bells with you? Because it seems like I have someone who's fairly young, though, okay? It doesn't seem to be... elderly, of course. It seems to be like maybe in, I would say 30s, 20s or 30s, I guess.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, I seem to have like a male coming through with that. Okay, so keep that in the case back of your mind anyway after this session or what have you. I do have someone trying to come through with that. And with particular readings as well, with something that doesn't play a lot with them, sometimes I don't necessarily spend a lot of time with that particular person. And like I said, in this case anyway, for being a radio show, I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out who this particularly is to browse your memory at all. Okay, so I won't do that. This grandfather as well, okay, he's particularly saying that he spent a lot of time with the Bible. Okay, so he seems to be fairly religious. Okay. And he's also saying that he used to quote scriptures. Okay, I have no idea what this particularly is, but he's saying that he used to quote scriptures or try to teach in that particular way. Okay, so he seems to be a fairly religious type man.
Okay.
Okay, do you also have a grandmother in spirit as well?
I have a grandmother and a step-grandmother that I was very close to in spirit.
Okay, is this like a husband and wife thing, like that they've both passed, like a grandmother and grandfather, or does this have to do with, because they seem like they're together, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Both of them actually are, yeah. Husband and
Okay.
wife, both passed.
Okay, good. Okay, this grandmother as well seems to be a lot more what I would call open than the grandfather. Okay, I hate to say it, but the grandfather seems to be a little bit stuffy, if I could say that. Okay, without being mean. Okay, not that I don't mind communicating with him or what have you, but he seems to have this matter-of-fact way of saying things. Okay.
Okay.
Just rather of get to the point and get on with it. While the grandmother seems to be a lot more open to things. Okay, it seems to be a lot more talkative. Also saying that she likes to, or she liked anyway, to cook, okay, when she was particularly alive, okay. So I don't know if you can remember things that she's saying that she used to cook certain things, okay, for grandchildren. And let me see here. And I have absolutely no idea what she's talking about or what it is that she's particularly making. She's talking about a skillet, okay? I have no idea what this is. It looks like a bread, maybe. I have no idea. But something that she used to bake a lot. I know this may seem like a weird question, but did you used to eat a lot of cornbread?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you remember or have any memories anyway of this particular grandmother who you're thinking this is anyway, of cooking cornbread?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you remember her cooking it in a skillet? I have no idea. I don't.
Absolutely. That's the only way to cook cornbread.
Oh, okay.
A good iron skillet. That's the only way to cook it.
That's pretty funny. Okay, I have absolutely no idea how to cook cornbread, but she's saying I have no idea why. This is kind of funny too, because I always tell people as well, like in my clients or what have you, that, especially people who have never had readings before, okay? And they always think, that if spirit or a loved one comes through in a reading, they have some amazing message to get across, that's either going to change my life or to, or to warn me about something. But you know what? I always tell people it's like having a conversation, like a cup of coffee, sitting down with someone and discussing things,
Right.
just a casual conversation. So the messages that come across, even though validating, may not be like this earth-shattering thing. I remember doing a reading for somebody and telling them certain things like this, I think it was their mother actually that had passed on, and was telling them different memories from when they were little to, the things that she says or that she sees in the present, and, that she could tell this person that, I'm still around, I still see you doing things. And the person was like, well, what's their message to me? And I'm like, well, that's it. They're just wanting to let you know that they're around, that they care about you, that they love you, that they're, that they haven't abandoned you. So it's not always like this life-shattering, earth-shattering thing. And this particular grandmother, okay, when I'm saying that, I have absolutely no idea how to cook cornbread. She's telling me I have to use milk, which I have no idea why she's telling me that, because I don't plan on making cornbread because I don't bake. But whatever. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, she's telling me that I have to do it with milk, so, ugh. But you know what? I'm sure she was a great cook. Do you remember them having any particular pets, especially a cat?
Hmm.
Because she's saying that she has a cat with her, okay, in spirit.
She often kept a cat, yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know why that's important for her to say, but, whatever. Okay, this is kind of interesting. Okay, the group that you have, because like I said, you were telling me that you kind of go out and do ghost hunt and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, you've been in what I would call like media or newspaper in regards to this group, hey?
Yes.
Okay, have you ever done any TV with this?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look here. With that, what I'm particularly getting anyway for like a future type thing actually, is that there is going to be a particular case that is going to be coming up for you that you guys are going to be kind of quite overwhelmed with. Okay, it's actually going to be a fairly big thing, but it has to do with a murder case. Okay, what I would suggest with that anyway is to be fairly careful. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually, it's going to attract more media attention, and that may seem like a very exciting thing, okay? Because it seems like there's going to be some sort of TV offer or special with that, okay? Like a special on TV or what have you. That may seem like a good thing, and I'm sure it'll turn out to be that. But there's also going to be some bad parts to associate with that. Okay, so you're going to get some negative feedback on that as well. So it's basically anyway being prepared to be, like to have a little bit more of a thicker skin. Because like I said, it seems anyway that you tend to hold on to some hurtful things depending on what people say. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure like a lot of people always say, I let it roll off my back or my shoulders or what have you, and I try not to let things bother me. And sure, yeah, but I mean, you know what, words typically hurt, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily always care what people think or say about you, okay? But, okay, this is particularly going to affect you, okay? So it needs to be a little bit of a thicker skin anyway. But if I could stop at that anyway, before, like I said, I tend to ramble, go on for hours. So, and I usually, with my particular readings, like I said, I read for normally close to an hour, and I leave the last little bit for any questions or clarifications with that. So, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a typical reading, but like I said, I like to go into greater detail and that sort of thing. But, with radio or what have you, I try to cut it short.
That's I'm sitting here and I am absolutely amazed. Wow. You have been dead on. You have been absolutely dead on.
Well, that's good. Especially for being first reading, so.
That's amazing. I do have one question, and I guess it's a little silly, and
no questions are silly.
there's a certain person that I'm wondering if she's around, if you can sense her around me.
And, you know what? Saying that, I'm sorry if I can cut you short here. Okay. Another thing with my readings as well. Okay, I don't like to allow people to give me a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, that's enough information for me.
Okay.
I am coming through for whatever reason. Okay, if I could describe what she looks like, okay, because she's coming through to me in that particular way. So whether you can validate this or not, I don't know. But I am getting a particular person that is coming through, okay, who's saying that she has passed. And seems to be fairly frantic in allowing people to know that, okay, or to try and get that across. The other thing is she seems to kind of, for me anyway, and like I said, my interpretation could possibly be wrong, but she seems to have what I would call like a shoulder-length hair. It seems to be like, I don't know whether it's curly or wavy, but tends to have a little bit of an orange or brownish tinge to her hair. And with the initials of TH, and I'm not quite sure what the other one is, and I'm not quite sure what her particular name is because I'm not hearing the sound of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not quite sure how much of her particular life that you know of. Okay. What was this, if you know anyway, you could tell me, but was this person not married?
The TH isn't ringing a bell for me.
Well, I'm not quite sure with that anyway, because it seems like either in the first name or last name there seems to be like a TH. I'm not sure, but there's a T for sure. But I think the TH. I'm not sure because I'm seeing some R's as well. I'm not hearing it. Like I said, I'm only seeing different letters, and it's not very clear for me. So I don't know if it's like a Terry, a Teresa, a Tracy. It seems to be somewhere in particular like that. So I'm not hearing it correctly. So I apologize for that, but I'm not picking it up very well. Anyway, with this particular person, anyway, do you know how this person passed?
No, I can't think of anyone who would fit that name, actually.
Okay, that's okay. Well, that's okay. You know what? I may not be picking up the person that you're wanting me to. Okay, this could be somebody else. I'm not quite sure. But like I said, you know what? It may come to you after the fact when you're thinking more about it of who that person may be coming in to do. Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, I could certainly spend more time with this particular person, okay, but if it's not ringing up with you, then there's really not much sense to it, okay?
Absolutely.
You know what? I actually want me to, so, but that's okay. And that sometimes happens as well, so. And, sometimes with that, if someone's particularly wanting me to connect with a certain person, like I said, it's kind of strange to me because for you saying triggered that person coming through, which is kind of odd, but that's all right. Okay, if I can get like a first name of the person you're wanting me to connect with.
Well, Darlene, that's her name.
Okay. Does this person have an illness?
Yes.
What caused her to cross the illness?
Yes.
Okay. Well, she seems to be sick for a long time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Was this cancer? Did she cross from cancer?
No.
Okay, that's kind of odd because it seems like a wasting type disease for me, which normally tends to be like a cancerous type thing. Okay.
It was. I mean, if you want me to let the cat out of the bag, it was multiple sclerosis.
Okay. Okay. Did she cross, or did she pass like in a hospital though?
Yes.
Okay. Did she also have breathing difficulties?
Yes.
Because it's just quite tight for me. Okay, and also her voice seems kind of raspy.
Yes.
Okay. Were you with her when she passed?
Just a little before, yes.
Okay. The other thing that I'm particularly getting from this person, okay, is that she's talking about being kind of in and out of it or what have you towards the last part of her life. But did you ever connect it up to some like machines or what have you to help with certain things?
Yes, she was.
Okay. But was she not able to like communicate very well towards the later parts of her life?
Yes, towards the end she wasn't able to do almost anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? For whatever it's worth, anyway, she's definitely saying okay. First of all, okay, if I can explain things a little bit anyway. Those who have passed on, I mean, obviously they're not in any pain or anything else like that. Okay, this person seems to have crossed over fairly easily anyway, for whatever that's worth to you. Okay, but she seems to have a little bit of a sense of humor now. Okay, and I do typically get anyway of spirit or what have you, because she seems to have a very good open, fairly open and friendly personality, because she seems to have a little bit of a humor side to her as well. And I have no idea why she's particularly saying that she's missing eaten. Okay, I have no idea why she's saying that. Let me see here. Oh, okay. The other thing anyway is Okay. Oh, she's wanting to validate somebody, or to acknowledge somebody, I should say. Okay, of who was the person who actually brought her in treats or food or what have you in the hospital. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but she's also saying that she's particularly very interested in eating a lot towards later end stages. Okay,
Right.
but she wanted to acknowledge the person or the people anyway, people who would bring in treats. Okay. Or food anyway for her. It seems like they were wanting to encourage her anyway to eat or to try and eat. Uh, okay. Was this a family member for you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because she seems fairly close to you. The other thing is, though, she seems fairly young for me, okay? Like, she doesn't seem like she was elderly, though. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Okay, that's a shame. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, because she seems to have passed way before her time, though. Let me take a look. Did she have difficulty, like, getting around? Because it seems like, that there was a time where she was particularly able to get around. Like, I don't know whether this is walking or what have you, or getting out and doing things. But it seems like things fairly progress, which I guess with MS it particularly would. But did she ever end up, I don't know what this is, whether, she's talking about whether it's like a walker or a wheelchair or what have you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely does. Yes.
She didn't like that, okay?
Hmm.
She really hated that. Because she seemed to anyway have a fairly independent type personality, so she didn't like to really depend on a lot of people. Okay, and she's also saying that, stubbornness kind of tends to run in a particular family, so she's fairly stubborn about that illness. Okay, I have no idea why she's talking about this, but she's talking about her hair, and I have no idea why. Let's see. Did she, I don't know if this even makes any sense to you, but she's talking about her hair and having to get a haircut, so I have no idea why that's important for her or why she's even saying that, or even if it makes any sense to you at all.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Okay. Anyway, for whatever that's worth, she's concerned about that, or it's important to her. Okay. Let's see. Oh, anyway, she wants to get across to me anyway that she wasn't really a vain person. Okay, because I mean that was unfortunately that was a thought that kind of crossed through my mind when she's saying that. I'm like, okay, was she a vain person? Why is she talking about her hair? So she's wanting to tell me anyway that she's not vain. She's not. She wants to get that out on the books here. Okay.
Yes, she tried an experimental treatment and her hair fell out.
Okay, that's what she's talking about. Okay. Okay, she also wants to acknowledge the people or the person who actually prayed over her. Okay. And there seems to be, you know what? She was saying that there was actually a person anyway that used to pray with her a lot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But also talk about spirituality in a way that she says wasn't overly religious. Okay. And she's talking about somebody speaking about heaven, being on the other side, and all the things that she would particularly be involved with. She wants to let that person know that she heard them, okay? Because this seems to be when she either... okay. Oh, just 1 second, sorry. I don't know what this is. I mean, was she ever in, like, a coma or semi-coma?
Yes, she was.
Okay, because she's wanting to acknowledge the person anyway that we used to come in and pray over her or talk to her while she was in that state, because she wants to know or get towards that person, okay, that she heard, okay?
Okay.
And it definitely appreciates it, okay? Okay. Is there some people in your family, if I could ask this, I know it's a personal thing, but it seems like anyway that there is some people in your particular family that really doesn't appreciate what you do with the paranormal sense. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And she's also saying anyway that she sees amazing things. Okay. She wants to get that across to you as well. And she's kind of laughing in a sense of actually coming through to a medium as well. Okay. Okay. But you know what? She's communicating fairly well. Okay. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to understand her or to hear her. Okay. Okay. But she wants to give encouragement anyway, of her anyway being a sense of family, to continue what you're doing and what you believe in. Okay. Because she's saying that is the absolute truth. Okay.
Okay.
So she wants to give you encouragement to that. She's kind of backing off a little bit anyway, which I mean of pulling away energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which is, you know what, she has some things to do. Okay. So she's pulling away from me for now. Okay. So, you know, hopefully that was interesting to you.
That was incredible, and you just described my mother. That's
Oh, wow.
that's absolutely that is absolutely incredible.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's good. I wasn't getting the sense that she was, whether it was a sister or mother or what have you. She was just basically saying family member. So.
When you said treats in the hospital, that nailed it right there. Because the last thing before she passed on, she asked me. It was a rainy, stormy day, and she asked me to go out and get her a peanut butter milkshake.
Oh, wow.
And of all things in the world, I went and got her a peanut butter milkshake, and that's the last thing she ever had. So.
Oh, that's sweet. You know, it's funny because the peanut butter milkshake. Anyway, my husband, like I said, I told you before that, you know, he's from Georgia. That's the one thing he says that he misses is a peanut butter milkshake.
They're
which
good.
To me, well, yeah, hey, I'll take your word for it. But to me, I mean, it sounds rather gross. But hey, I haven't tried it. But, you know, next time we're out there, I guess I will.
Absolutely. Well, goodness, I hate to ask you anything else. I hated to even ask you about that, but I just had to. I knew if any one person could come through, it would be her. And I wonder about the grandparents. I wonder which set that it is, because actually both of them, if it's who I'm thinking of, both of them were kind of the same way. So both sets were the same way. So. That's pretty interesting. That's very interesting. You don't see any. You're not going to predict my death. I know that. But what about career paths? Do you see? Should I stay where I'm at, doing what I'm doing?
Let me take a look here. Okay. Oh yeah. I just remembered that we're not live, so I can say a few things.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, okay, your current occupation anyway, okay, is basically you're saying in law enforcement, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it seems to me anyway, okay, that, okay, has that job seems to be getting kind of, I don't want to say boring, because it doesn't seem like it's boring or what have you, but have you been in that type of pathway anyway for a fairly long time?
Yes, I have. About 4 years.
Okay. Okay. Let's take a look here. Okay. You know what? I'm not getting a sense of actually how much you're actually making, but, you know, for financial wise or what have you. But I'm also being told anyway, from your spirit guide and also from one of the grandparents anyway, is saying that you don't make as much as you should be doing what you're actually doing, okay, which is in law enforcement. Okay, I'm used to actually the RCMP. My brother's in RCMP. I know what he makes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm being told is nowhere near that, okay? So maybe I should be telling that to your bosses. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not, yeah, you're not making as much as you should be doing what you're doing. But you know what? If I may move into, first of all, a little bit of the health, okay?
Okay.
Because I don't predict death at all, okay, like I said before, but I do still see you living. You still got a lot of living to do, if I can say it in that way, okay? do you tend to worry about your health? Like whether you're going to be, stay healthy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I'm not exactly sure why. Okay, because I'm not picking up on anything that is necessarily serious. Okay. I don't know why that I'm particularly getting this, like I said, stiffness. It seems like also in the arms and the legs. I have no idea why. Okay. Um, Definitely picking up on that lower back, but that seems to be not involved with the stiffness for whatever reason. Have you ever checked your blood sugar levels?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's been fairly normal for you?
Yes.
Because, okay. I'm getting a fluctuation with that. I'm not quite sure why. Okay.
Okay.
Has healthcare profession, I think this is a doctor, what have you, have they been telling you that you're needing to lose weight?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because it seems to be tied with the blood sugar thing. Okay. So I'm not sure why I'm getting that. It doesn't feel like necessarily like a diabetic thing. It seems to be almost like a borderline thing, which I'm not quite sure why. Okay, especially if the levels have been perfectly fine. But anyways, I'm going to try and get back to what I was getting to in the first place here, of what you asked me for career-wise. I had to get into the health thing first. Try not to worry so much about health, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm not picking up on anything necessarily serious with that. Anyway, career, let me see. Okay, is this a question mainly in regards to doing what you're doing now, like radio, being, radio host, that sort of thing? Is that where you're particularly getting with career?
No, the actual paying job.
Okay.
The one that doesn't pay so well.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Well, I do see you moving on from that, actually, because it doesn't seem to be as satisfying, I guess, as it was in the beginning. Okay. It doesn't necessarily seem like a boredom thing for me anyway, though. Okay. Although I'm sure, there are some days where you'd wonder that. But it just seems to be not as satisfying as it once was. Okay. But anyways, I'm going to spend a lot of time on that. I do see you moving on, though, from that career choice. Okay. But unfortunately, I'm not getting a sense of where. Okay. And you know what? Sometimes that can be because either you're not supposed to know, I'm not supposed to tell you, I have no idea, but I'm not getting a sense of where that is. Also, I'm also getting a sense of you moving, okay? It doesn't seem to be out of state, okay? But a sense of moving from a residence, okay? Coming up as well for you. Okay, so I know that doesn't give you much guidance with the career path, okay? But I do anyway see you moving on from that.
Interesting. I was just settling in for my next 30 years there, but...
So, hopefully anyway that it's been a fairly interesting experience anyway for you, so...
Barb, it has been absolutely incredible. You are amazing. And I'm just blown away. That's you hit the nail on the head so many times. That's just and probably about 3 o'clock in the morning I'll realize that you were dead on with everything. I'll wake up and smack myself in the head and say, of course. But wow, sacred-connections.us is your website. Barb Powell. And wow, what an amazing gift you have. I have to say you have been dead on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'm sure that you're available, these folks, if they'd like to contact you, and you can, you do the psychic readings and more detailed than what we went into. You do that for them over the phone, and
for sure.
And,
yeah, we do. I actually get a lot of my clients coming from the States, actually. So I do a lot of telephone readings as well. And of course, I do in-person readings around my hometown as well. But I do travel as well, and I'll be heading, into the States actually sometime this year, but mainly in the New York area. Haven't gone down south as of yet, but hopefully that's something in my future.
Well, you'd be most welcome to come down here. I would have to make a trip to see you. You are absolutely incredible. I can't say that enough. I am blown away by your gift.
Well, thank
I certainly appreciate you being on. Like I said, you are I hate to use the word phenomenon because people can take it good or bad, but you are a legitimate phenomenon. You have a very special gift, and I just, wow, I can't say enough. I hope the folks listening will contact you and take advantage of your service because you are amazing. You made a believer out of me tonight.
Well, thank you. And you know what? Hey, I always ask this. You don't necessarily have to if you don't want to, but I always ask the people that I go on radio shows with if they're wanting to write a little something up for me that I could use. That would be great. If not, don't even worry about it. But you know what? I appreciate being the first medium that you had on the show and actually your first reading. So that's a pleasure for me.
Yeah, and I will write something up and email it to you here the next day or two, so you can. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much.
I appreciate you being on. I appreciate you sharing your talent, and I guess with that, I'm gonna wish you a warm Canadian night.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night, Barb.
Too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Wow, what an incredible thing. Now, I know it's probably a little boring listening to someone else get a reading from a psychic, but hey, it's the first time I ever had it done, and I thought I would just share that with you. She was gracious enough to be the guest here on the show to talk about her talent and her gift, and to do that pro bono. She didn't make any money, and I'm telling you, she was just kind enough to do that, and I just wanted to share it with the listeners because that's the first time that's ever happened for me. And wow, was she dead on accurate. So many little things that she hit on in there were just amazing, folks. I know that some of you not knowing me personally, you're thinking, my goodness, what a snoozer episode this was. But if you could just hear the wonder and the excitement in my voice, it's just absolutely amazing. What an amazing gift, and what a great guest to have on. That's all I can say about that. We ran up the meter here this week, so we're going to go ahead and wish you a good night. And stay tuned for next week's episode number 27. We're going to have Cindy Westbrooks up here, and going to do a little hot topic talk, I'm sure. And we'll probably talk about an investigation that we are going to be doing with our friends from the Grit team out of Carrollton. We're going to take them to a couple of places around here that they're wanting to go. And so we'll probably talk about that and some hot topic talk with Cindy on next week's Georgia Paranormal Radio. So like I always say, folks, if you go out and do any investigating, take the extra 5 seconds, do things right, use a little common sense, and be careful out there. Because your family wants you to make it home. I want you to make it home. And you certainly want to make it home, right? So just be careful out there. Good night, everybody.
Nah, underground.